We're going to try to see if we can sum this up now. If not, we'll go into another part. I hope we don't have to do that. I don't want to do that. I really don't. Okay, guys. All right. Physical force in defense of property during course of burglary. Burglary means someone entered a premises where they did not belong with the intent to commit any crime at all on that property. It could be stealing something, it could be setting something on fire, it could be killing somebody, it could be raping somebody, it could be setting off a bomb. Okay, now, if I'm in a neighborhood and I see a guy climbing into a window, according to this, I can legally advance on the guy, grab him, beat the living shit out of him, call the police, have him arrested. Now, if the guy ends up being the homeowner who locked himself out and must force entry into his own home, I have a problem. Now, according to the Castle Doctrine, you have to honestly and reasonably believe you're witnessing a burglary. So the judge might say, listen, middle of the night, you thought the guy was breaking into a house, you didn't know if he was going to commit an assault or a rape or a kidnapping, you honestly and reasonably believed you were within your right. I'm not going to press charges. I'm not going to allow us to continue. I'm going to throw this case out, and I'm going to get off easy. The other issue is if the judge or prosecutor wants to press charges against me for beating the shit out of the homeowner, thinking he's a burglar, then I have to get a lawyer and defend myself in court. And my defense is going to be, I honestly made a mistake. Sorry about the broken nose and the 3 knocked out teeth, man, but I thought I was doing the right thing. But he can get me in civil court. This law does not protect you from civil liability. The man can pick up the phone, call a civil lawyer, take me to civil court and sue me for money. And he can prove that I hit him, okay? Civil court, the proof is very, very, very minimal, okay? If I sue someone for $1,000 and they're 10% wrong, they owe me $100, okay? If they're 1% wrong, they owe me $10. I don't have to have that beyond all reasonable doubt shit. So I can get hit up with a lawsuit for unintentionally causing injury, which is going to cost me big time because I got to pay his medical bills, I got to pay his pain and suffering, I got to pay his punitive damages, so that's going to be a whole other conversation. Larceny or criminal mischief, same thing. If I see a guy committing a crime, I can stop him. This is probably what store detectives use, you know. The store detective says, I prevented that guy from committing vandalism. That's 35.25. Okay, justification, physical force, and arrest, prohibited. This means that if I am under arrest by a lawful police officer, I may not resist him. If a police officer has a 51% belief that I committed a crime, he may legally arrest me. Now, I have to get my lawyer, I have to go to court, I have to do all that not guilty trial by jury bullshit. But I may not escape from the officer. Lawful arrest, I have to comply with the lawful arrest. And if you fight back from an arrest, you're going to get charged with resisting arrest. Now, something not written in this book, I don't think. A professor who I had who was a defense attorney told me this. If you think the police officer is going to kill you, unjustifiably, okay? The police officer arrests you, puts you in the back of the car, drives you away, and as he's driving you away, he leads you to believe he's going to hurt you. He's going to beat the shit out of you. He's going to shoot you and make it look like you try to escape. You may legally escape from the police officer. However, you may only escape from a police officer if you honestly think he's going to hurt you. And the minute you get away from him, you have to go and surrender to the court. So I would have to, if a police officer has me in custody and he tells me, I'm going to beat the living fucking shit out of you, man. I'm going to fuck you up. Okay? I kick out the back of the police car window. I escape down the street in handcuffs. I have to go to the courthouse, I have to surrender myself to a court officer. I have to tell the court officer, listen, man, I was under arrest. The officer that arrested me said he was going to hurt me. And I'm here to surrender formally to the judge. That court officer will write down my statement. Internal Affairs will investigate the arresting officer that threatened me, but I still have to surrender myself to the judge. And whatever's going on, guilty or not guilty, you escaped from a police officer because he was trying to kill you, a rogue animal police officer, you must bring yourself to the judge and say, Your Honor, I surrender. No question. If I break out of the police car and I go to the airport and leave the country, I'm wrong. Let me check time again. I know I'm going crazy. Oh, wait, I got 10 minutes. Okay. Arrest, escape. Okay. This law, 35.30, gives a police officer the authority to catch you. Okay? If you break out of the prison and the guard sounds the alarm and the prison SWAT team goes out on ATVs and they patrol the grounds and grab you and bring you back to prison, that protects them. Okay? They're allowed to prevent your escape. That could be a court officer in the courthouse. That could be a police officer in the back of the police car. That could be a prison guard in jail or prison. If you're escaping from legal custody, they can detain you. Now, people in a mental institution. Most people in the mental institution are there voluntarily. However, some people are so dangerous, the mental institution has to detain them against their will. The mental institution must detain them because they're dangerous to the community. Jared Loeffner is under arrest. He may not leave the institution. My friend, that piece of shit, John Hinckley is under arrest. He may not leave the mental institution. My favorite professor, the little one, she had an incident where she had a girl in custody in the mental institution who had a psychotic episode. The girl ripped off her clothes and ran out of the mental institution buck naked. They literally got into a van, literally drove down the highway, pulled over, got out of the car, got out of the van, ran after this girl, grabbed her, threw her down, tied her up, and brought her back to the mental institution. Someone who is being legally detained by the authorities and may not leave, they may be arrested again for escaping. And you cannot punish them, okay? You cannot punish a psychiatrist if he orders security to detain you because you're suicidal. Okay? You cannot sue or press charges against the warden because the warden told his officers to run after you and catch him and bring you back to prison. That's going to be in every state, Castle Doctrine or not. And I'm going to try to go online and find these articles and copy and paste because I'm not writing them verbatim. Okay? So that is our penal code, Castle Doctrine. This is very, very, very extensive. New York used to be a conservative state. We were. 1 second. Check my time again. Okay. New York was once a very, very, very conservative state. And these laws have been in the book since 1968. So all you guys that were jumping up and down because your Castle Doctrine allowed you to defend yourself, well, hey man, you got your Castle Doctrine 3 years ago. I got mine before I was born. Okay? But like I said, you can only use the reasonable force. Talk to a police officer and ask the police officer, if you were in this situation, would you do this? Is it legal? If he says yes, you can do it. If he says no, you can't do it. Keep in mind certain rules. The Castle Doctrine only applies on your property. Okay, on your home, in your store, on your farm. You're the bus driver, Castle Doctrine applies to your jurisdiction. Okay, if I'm a bus driver, the Castle Doctrine applies to the bus. If I'm a store detective, the Castle Doctrine applies to the store. If a celebrity hired me as their bodyguard, the castle doctrine applies to wherever I am protecting that celebrity. Okay? You only use the force reasonable to stop the problem. If you go too far, it is going to be a charge and you will go to prison for it. Okay? Also, keep in mind, you must call the police as soon as it is reasonable to do so. I don't expect you to call the police while you're being shot at. I don't expect you to call the police while someone's strangling you. But as soon as you say, okay, the coast is clear, I'm free, let me call the police. Okay? Let me call the police. You have to call the police as soon as possible. When the police arrive, they take over completely. Okay? You are not a police officer when they arrive. When the regular police arrive at the scene, you step back and you say, this guy broke into my home. This guy broke into my car. This guy assaulted my child. This guy stole from my store. Throw your hands up. Police officer takes over from there. He arrests the guy. He brings the guy downtown. You fill out the police report. Check to see if your state has a castle doctrine. You can talk to a police officer, a lawyer, a gun dealer should know, but check to see if you have a castle doctrine in your state. This book is fantastic. In your state, you can buy it. Look at it in advance. Check the penal code every 6 months to make sure nothing changed. And be very careful. Be very careful. And understand, the law does not protect you from death. Okay? Even though the law says I can legally stay in my home and stand my ground, the bad guy can still kill me. So sometimes the police will say, maybe you should escape. Now, I don't expect you to escape when your wife is in the shower. I don't expect you to escape while your baby's in the nursery. And I don't expect you to escape while your child is in the playroom. Okay? But just be careful. If your state does not have a castle doctrine, you should lobby for one. Call your congressman, call your senator, call your mayor, call your governor, and lobby for one. Castle doctrines should exist in every single state, no questions asked, period. Okay? The criminal knows that if he attacks you, you're going to defend yourself, and you're not going to be charged. And the Brady campaign thinks it's okay, it's bad because you'll enact vigilante justice. Pay no attention to the idiots. None. Thank you.